You actually get this, like people coming to you before they get married as pre-marriage counseling to go over, make sure that we're all on the right, we're on the same page with this and that. You actually get this?
Yeah,
You do?
I do.
No way.
Oh, I swear.
Wallah, it was a long shot. I didn't even realize
Of
that you actually.
course. إنه هني what they identify as.
ايه
I
واحد وكل
question.
واحد بيقول لك I want to
Yeah.
identify as a box وواحد لك I want to identify as a tree وما بيخلصوا هدول يعني. Five, four, three, two, one. سارة هاي.
هاي.
احنا باي ذا واي ما اتفقنا اصلا حنعملها بالانجليزي ولا بالعربي، بس خلاص بلشنا بالعربي.
ايه
بس كيفك سارة؟
تمام ماشي.
It's good to have you. Thank you for coming يوم الجمعة الساعة 8:30. You could be with your dog بس قررتي تيجي هون. قد ايه حجمه أول شو اسمه ولا شو اسمه؟
Princess. Her name is
اسمها
Princess.
Princess. What is it? A Chihuahua?
She's a Pomeranian. So
عرفتون.
yeah,
Oh
she's
my
really
God.
cute. Yeah.
Is she? Yeah, هدول ما بيكبروا.
Very well
They just stay بيضلوا حجم واحد هيك.
Yeah, definitely. وأنا princess كتير مهذبة يعني.
والله.
Yeah.
ما بتطلع أصوات ما بتطلع شيء.
أبداً. إيه لأنه هن عادة Pomeranian إنه الناس بتفكر إنه they are يعني بيعووا كتير وهيك. أنا أبداً princess مهذبة.
So just dogs, no cats. So you're just a dog.
إيه لا, I'm severely allergic to cats, unfortunately.
بس بحس إنه they're much more, they're nicer to have at home if you were not allergic. They're just, I don't know, cats هيك لهم, they have this
They're
thing.
really
Apparently
cute.
they're very good also for their, I was reading a study, you know, their vibration, their purrs really helps with soothing وهيك بيهدي البني آدم.
Yeah.
So حتى they're allowed in the mosques. They're the only animals that are allowed. تروحي على اسطنبول بتلاقيهم all over the place. بتلاقي مثلا فيك بتلاقي بس ساعة تصلي ركعتين كله تمام يعني ما.
Yeah. إيه كتير نضاف أكيد هيدي الشغلة بس dogs كمان they're full of love يعني الكات إنه you know they're كمان هن هال difference كمان بيشبه difference in people. You have the people that are always there. They're supportive. They're loving, and that's how dogs are. Whereas cats, you know, they come around when it suits them. So a little narcissism is there.
That's true. That's true. طيب سارة, you want to do your own introduction? انت اعملي المقدمة تبعك أحسن.
Okay.
I think هيك أريح. بتقولي what you want to say you leave out what you don't want to say.
I mean, no, sure, definitely, I can do that. So basically,
actually, I ask everyone to do that. It's a thing. Yeah, I let everyone do their introduction.
Yeah.
أحلى.
So basically, my name is Nabulsi. I'm a clinical psychologist. I work with adults. I became a psychologist later on in life because I discovered that that's where my talent lies. So before that, I studied in design. I was an interior designer. I worked in the field. I loved it. But I was...
you were an interior designer?
Yeah. That's
when
my
did
first
you do the switch?
degree. In my, like around 32.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's one thing I could not find online.
Yeah, I love design and it's not like I didn't like it, but you know, sometimes like where your area of genius lies, if you really chase that, إنه عن جد كتير إنه بتتغير حياتك بشكل نوعي. يعني إنه كانت حياتي عادة وكانت القصص اللي هي psychology وphilosophy ورeligion وmysticism كانوا my passion. So it was my default. Anytime I was doing any reading or interested in learning, this was what I was doing. So then in around 32, I thought to myself, you know what? Like, I actually want to do this full time. Like, why don't I make this my life?
أكيد it wasn't just random. Like, أكيد صار في شيء.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so can I ask you about it? No. Off camera. And then from your face I can read that. Don't ask me, Muhammad. I'm not gonna tell you. It's your face said it all.
That's true.
Skip it. But at least I mean, it's never too late to Allah at 32. That's like, because that would have been, and you would have graduated 10 years.
Yeah.
يعني 10 years كنتي in interior design and did you ever wish you could go back and تعملي هيك a little side hustle
from
in
the
interior
beginning?
design?
Oh yeah sometimes I do يعني
والله؟
yeah وحتى إذا حدا من رفقاتي أو from my family عندهم project I like doing that. أنا ما بآمن إنه نحن المفروض نعمل one thing.
That's true.
يعني you know I think the brain definitely بيتعب from just focusing a lot on one thing.
That's true.
So it's good
I
to
noticed
multitask.
that. يعني that's if you look at all the other like يعني historical figures and like the geniuses, they're polymaths. They can do a lot of things. حتى athletes, some of them they can excel in many sports at the same time.
Yeah.
Leonardo da Vinci was just يعني a prime example of what a human being could be.
Yeah, totally.
طيب, but let's talk about your clinical journey.
Yes.
So, but you mentioned something. You're for adults and couples. You don't do kids.
No.
Okay. Why? Is it a lot harder?
No. No. It's like a
بتعبوكي?
No, I love kids, but actually child psychology, you know, is its own specialization.
Yeah.
So it's a whole completely different education where you focus more on, you know, child development and brain development and stages and all of these things. And I didn't do that. And I was more interested in clinical. So mental disorders, depression, anxiety, bipolar, wholly kind of gripped me into the field.
Okay. So let's, يعني, from the things that you've seen so far, هلا, يعني, if you really had to like categorize, what would be the most common mental challenges هلا بتشوفيهم بمر عليك, especially in the last few years after like the pandemic?
Anxiety.
Oh my God.
No
the
doubt.
amount of times that I hear that word.
Anxiety or panic disorder, which is even a step higher يعني, and a much more difficult thing to deal with.
بس معلش, let's just to backtrack a little bit. When you say anxiety, يعني عم نقول نحن بالعربي الهم, إنه بيضله مهموم.
لا. anxiety يعني قلق, خوف, overthinking, تفكير زايد, stress بالجسم. لما بنحكي ندخل ببانيك, it's like أعراض جسدية, يعني في دقات قلب سريعة, دوخان, هاي الاشياء.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why do you think that is? يعني, why do you think anxiety is the single most common, I'm not going to call disorder, let's say diagnosis that you have?
Yeah,
with your
it's
patients?
Definitely a disorder for sure, and I see it
it's classified
so
as a disorder.
Yeah, anxiety disorders.
Okay.
And you have different types of anxieties. عندك social anxieties, عندك panic disorders, عندك OCD is a part of anxiety disorder as well. So why do I see, ليش منشوفه كتير هون؟ I think لأنه أنا I practice بدبي, عندي كتير clients online from everywhere in the world.
Okay.
بس لأني based هون بدبي في عنا كتير anxiety disorders وفي عنا كتير كمان other disorders.
إلها علاقة the pace of life here?
Yes.
والله?
I think so, for sure.
And probably like the pressure from like just having to achieve all the time.
هلا هي الانكزايتي بحد ذاتها منا شيء منه منيح, بس هي الانجن تبع الفيزيولوجي تبعنا وتبع البرين والنيرفس سيستم. يعني هي الطريقه اللي by which نحن we have motivation. So it's a good thing. المشكله هي لما it gets dysregulated بيصير الواحد الانكزايتي تبعيته it's triggered بأوقات مش ضروري, أو it becomes very intense and outside the control تبع الشخص. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's so we see a lot of that here.
Yeah. وبعدين بتذكر يعني to your point بتذكر إنه قريت I don't know if you're gonna like the book that I'm gonna mention or you're not gonna like it. هلا صرت خايف إلا ولا ما إلا. Should I tell you? It's called The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That book. But the one thing يعني شوف يمكن the book some people might disagree, you know, it's a lot of gibberish, but there's one thing that I can tell you is right, and no, a certain amount of pressure and a certain amount of anxiety and a certain amount of, let's say, discomfort is necessary and important, especially for a man. Speaking on behalf of a man, لأنه you remember, ما بعرف if you've seen that picture, إنه that cycle, إنه hard times create hard men create good times create soft men create hard times, and then it's just like
it's a cycle.
It's a cycle. So واحد شوية رجال لازم هيك دايما تضل على his bit on his toes. I don't know if you agree, but
yeah, I totally agree with this statement, the last one. I think that masculinity كتير took a hit in the past like 30 years due to propaganda from the West and all of that. And the consequence is having high rates of ADHD and having broken homes and having a dissatisfaction in relationships in general. So I think there's a lot of chaos that went into our culture, our global culture, which impacted negatively this idea of like having men that are capable of dealing with hard times. But thank God, to a great extent, still in the Arab world, we are much better off because of the necessity of life. يعني إنه
وهو لما افتح التيك توك يعني بصير بشك بذات ستيتمنت يعني وبطلع انا على زي ما بقول نحن خلص الامه تبعنا انتهت. No, but I mean, jokes aside, yes, I do agree with you. A lot more shielded than other places, but it's still slowly creeping.
Yes. It's definitely something we have to be mindful of. Yeah.
And the only shield against that, in my opinion at least, and it might sound a bit too conservative for some, is religion and close-knit families. Because there's a systematic effort to break down families. هذا الشيء that if anyone disagrees with this, صراحة they're idiots يعني. I don't want to be politically correct saying this because I feel very strongly about this. And whoever does not agree that there's a systematic effort to destroy the family unit overall in the world is really blind. لأنه you see it in everything.
Yeah.
You see it in everything. يعني even حتى مثلا, like for example in Canada, the government can literally provide you everything if you decide to just خلاص يعني leave your parents وتركيهم and you just want to do your own thing.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be the case. ما هو the family unit is the base of everything.
Yeah.
But because
Canada they're going like to great distances بالchaos يعني. I wouldn't practice Canada. I would never practice Canada because Canada I would not be allowed to tell an adolescent or question his sexual orientation. So هو بعده he's forming his personality. If he comes to me, I would not be allowed to kind of there are lots of regulations about what I could say to him. Whereas here, I definitely discuss it and challenge it and talk about this orientation and identification, or what is it called? إنه what they identify as.
واحد وكل واحد بيقول لك I want to identify as a box, وواحد لك I want to identify as a tree, وما بيخلصوا هدول جد يعني. ما أنا ما بعرف what's the next one يعني بكرة يطلع لك واحد identify as a dinosaur. بس إنه the issue is إنه عن جد it's comic يعني إنه we're laughing but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true يعني.
It's sad,
I don't
but
know.
True.
طيب when people come to you, what do they expect, or what do you make them understand that they should expect? لأنه obviously بيجي يمكن مفكر يعني أنت I'm sure you get binary patients. يا واحد جاي إنه he's thinking إنه you're gonna save his life وتصرحي له كل شيء, وواحد جاي that's like غصب عنه and either his mom or his wife is like dragging him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I can only imagine it's like one of those two.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, being in Dubai, like I work with such a diverse population, right? Which is gold for me as a psychologist.
Yeah.
It's really amazing because I get to practice on working with so many different people with different cultures and different beliefs that gives me incredible insight into human nature and the things that transcend culture.
Yeah.
And the things that are cultural. So I have an amazing perspective living here, and nice. I love it. So yeah, I mean, so I would have the clients that, and then they spend the entire session talking, and then time is up. So like, how am I gonna help you? Like, you didn't let me give me a chance to say anything.
أعطيني المايك شوي خليني اسحب المايك من عندك.
No, I mean, so I can help you. Because
I know, I'm
they're
joking.
coming, like you said, with the attitude, no, please save me. I have all these problems.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like for me, it's just about kind of building that trust with the patient and then just making a working relationship with them, you know, and working with their expectations and bringing them on board with my expectations.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. At least they kind of know where they're going with this. But do you feel, you actually mentioned something مرة one of your videos وقلتي إنه when you choose your therapist, make sure that they're from the same culture. 100%. I saw that video and I was like, okay, I need to ask her on the podcast why she said
that is so important.
معقول يعني بس إنه I mean, I'm just going to challenge you here just for fun. But you said إنه human nature is essentially inherently all kind of universal, صح? But does culture really change that much from one person to another in terms of if you go back to the basics?
Yeah, no. I mean, these are my views and how I practice. Because I'm Lebanese and then I'm also Canadian and I've lived in Dubai for so long, I have this cultural awareness. But if you go to a psychologist, let's say they just moved to Dubai and they're like from like the US or Europe or whatever, they wouldn't necessarily have all this cultural awareness. So they're gonna be like completely like, let's take an example. Let's say we have a couple, okay? Yeah. And they come and let me tell you about some of the problems that I face. Okay, so working with couples, sometimes, you know, they had tried therapy already before. Yes. And then they come to me. Yes. So oftentimes what I find is that if it's like an Arabic couple, but they speak English, they're quite westernized and all of that, and they had worked with a Western psychologist or a psychologist that's not aware and culturally aware, it wreaked havoc on their relationship. Yes. Because they judged everything about our culture, like how intertwined we are, the man's role in the relationship, you know, and they throw that on people who are already struggling and at a crossroad. يعني في فرق بين
زاد الطين بلة basically
100% exactly. And في فرق بين when you're like fine, everything's going well and you go into therapy, you have some immunity, you can stand your ground or you can kind of have some objectivity in what you wanna, but not when you're so that is out.
I mean, I see your point, and obviously there are some things in our culture that probably would never make sense to them. And then if it's if you're already having problems, you don't want more problems. Come on.
100%.
But do you still think people find it in our culture? Do you still think that men find it like, or not men generally speaking, they still find it a taboo إنه أنت شو واحد مجنون رايح أنت عند دكتور نفساني وكذا? Or do you still feel like people see it as a taboo or شوية it's different? Because back in the day it was definitely a taboo.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a big taboo. I don't know if it still is, بس إنه من قبل إنه شو أنت بدك تروح عند شو اسمه الدكتور لا خذ لك كفين هيك خلص بترجلج بنزبطك شوي.
100%. Or very emotional reactions. لا ماما حبيبي شو بيك أنت ما بيك شيء وهيك بيزعلوا كتير. No, listen, it's for sure. أنا when I started becoming a psychologist, like when I was even studying, it wasn't still not yet a thing. When I moved here and I started practicing, it
wasn't a thing here.
It was still not a thing. Not even here, you know what I mean? So it only really, I think, became significantly more normalized during COVID. Significantly. On a broad scale, for a lot of people. Yes. Because during COVID, people seriously experienced distress within themselves, within their relationship. It was a situation where the distress was so much that they had to find solutions, and then they found that psychology, right? So during COVID, actually, I didn't stop working one day. Like I was literally all the time super busy, working from home, and then as soon as we were open, I was back in the clinic. It's a very busy time for me.
But didn't you, يعني, I'm gonna ask this question. I feel I really want to. But didn't you feel like خلاص so overwhelmed and like because of the amount of people that were having issues ما هيك تعبتي نفسيا إنه أنت نفسك you probably needed therapy because of the because I'm sure it does take a toll on you at some point.
Yeah.
صح? Is that why you went to India?
Yes.
Really? Actually, I was gonna ask you about that trip,
Yeah.
but I'll ask you towards the end.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, I totally think that we have to be kind of mindful about our own mental health, whichever industry we're in. And being a psychologist doesn't mean I'm not human or immune. So بالعكس, so basically what you learn in therapy is your limitations, and what you develop in therapy is your skills to manage your life better, right? So أكيد كتير بتأثر، خاصة أنا بالأسلوب اللي with which I practice. So I don't practice هيك حاطة مثل a huge wall between me and other people. Like I literally go there with them. I connect with them. This resonance. I resonate with the person. To resonate means in your brain you have opened up all of your empathy channels, and you're actually feeling everything that the person is feeling. And this is how you sync 100% with the person that you're with. And when I'm syncing with people that are struggling, of course that's going to impact me. But I'm also a meditation teacher, and I've been meditating for 20 years.
Nice.
So meditation is the number one thing, and specifically transcendental meditation is the number one thing that helps.
Okay. Nice. Wait, what's transcendental? Can't even pronounce it properly. Meditation.
Everybody has trouble with that. Transcendental. So بالعربي هي تجاوزي. تأمل تجاوزي.
Okay. Yeah, you just sit and you بتتأملي أشياء يعني?
No.
Specific things?
No. So تأمل تجاوزي basically is the one of the very few meditation techniques that actually like works. It has more than 600 studies that have been published on it.
Okay.
And these studies have been done in Harvard, Yale, UCLA. It's really effective, and it works for everybody, and it really has shown to be amazing for things like ADHD, anxiety, releasing tension, regulating the nervous system. So it's an amazing tool. I use it obviously myself, and I also use it clinically as a clinical tool. So when I have someone struggling with anxiety or OCD or whatever it is, I will train them in this meditation. It's a course you take. It takes about 4 days, and the rate of improvement is incredible. Like you have full remission, full recovery, because I have access to this meditation.
Nice. Actually, it's funny that some people don't realize, meditation is deeply rooted in our religion too. يعني حتى if you look at مثلا the story of the Prophet, peace be upon him, إنه كان يروح هو على الكهف for days at a time by himself, which was his, يعني تخيل إنه even back in the day he's still meditating on his own, doing his own thing, separated, and every time he'd come back he'd feel like something is changing until he eventually نزلت عليه رسالة. So people don't realize that it's really actually embedded in our religion. But unfortunately, I feel like now it's kind of like, I wouldn't say lost its way, but it's not as practiced as it should be. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think in our religion and in all religion, meditations have always been a part of these things, because we are a spiritual creature in essence, and we have a mind and a body, but we have something much more than a mind and a body. We have a spirit.
Yes.
And so people who have an purity and an innateness, they are drawn to this spirituality because they feel it, they resonate with it, it makes sense to them. And so, of course, that aspect of religion is kind of like you would find it more with the very, very spiritual, with the mutasawwifin,
yes.
the people that are more interested in that realm, right?
Yes.
So in the world, I believe that we have different types of people. You have the very practical, you have the very creative, you have this and this and that. And so in society, you have a small segment of people that are very spiritually open and aware. And these usually are, you know, al-mutasawwifin, or they study these things. And it's there, it's very available. You just have to seek it out. It's not hidden.
Yeah, that's true. And you can even also, like, you can do your kind of like your own thing. Yani, I'll give you an example. Have you ever read a book called Arbaun?
No.
It's by Ahmad Shukhairi.
Uh-uh.
Never. Okay, so basically, you know Ahmad Shukhairi, right?
No.
Okay. I think you really like him. But he's a guy, he's a Saudi TV personality that is طبعا يعني ما أخذ هو الطابع الديني للإسلام بس before he was on the conservative side, now he's a lot more on the liberal side. And he comes from a good family, and he كان عنده برنامج اسمه خواطر for many years. He's very, very, very smart, very nice guy. But that's not the point. The point is, I'm just giving you an idea about his background. What he did is, he's like, I'm going to go on an island that's completely remote. And I am not going to take anything with me except a phone that has just the ability to call in case of emergencies. And just me, myself, and I for 40 days on an island لحاله من دون أي حدا, without anything. And he wrote that book after the 40 days because of what he experienced. He's like, the amount of self-awakening that you have and the amount of self-realization والقطط الفطسانة كلها اللي بتطلع when you're by yourself and you start really, it's just you and your own thoughts for 40 days in a row. And 40 has a significance in Islam, يعني, if you notice, يعني, in many things. يعني, حتى مثلا the Prophet لما نزل عليه رسالة, he was 40, you know, so it was 42 actually, I think. So he talks about how he chose 40 days just because of its significance from the religion. But that book is one of the most interesting books I've ever read because the way that he talks about it, and Anjad, and I told myself one day I'm gonna do it, but still didn't get the chance. I have to find an island that's like remote for like 40 days where it has like basic life needs. But yes, to your point, yani,
no, I'll take you on one of my retreats.
Oh, wallah.
Yeah, so I actually have retreats that I do with my meditators.
Okay.
And some of them are detox retreats, like the one I just did in India, where like there's like an actual physical detox treatments, massages, and specific diet and all of that. Yeah. And then we also do meditation retreats.
Okay.
But typically here, obviously, because we're in Dubai and everything, we do like over the weekends.
Okay.
But globally, with the transcendental meditation, you have those longer retreats. I was just telling a friend today, I did a retreat for a year.
A year? Oh my God. ما زلتي لحالك a year?
I wasn't لحالي. I was actually with a group of other people who are also on the but like meditating long hours a day for an entire year. Oh
my God. And
but it changed my brain physiology.
I was going to ask you, شو اكتشفتي بعد هالسنة?
It literally changed me. It changed my brain. Like it was after that year that I had the energy to go back and study psychology and take exams.
There you go. Okay. So it was a year you left interior design. Yeah. It was a year after you left interior design. And how long ago was this?
A while ago.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yani basically, this was, yani you entering this field was a result of a very deep thought process and self-awakening that you went through.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yani I just wonder, صراحة, and if meditation by yourself or with a group of people could have a difference.
That's a really good question. We actually have science and studies that have been done. I'm talking about TM, right? Because to be honest with you, most of the discussions about meditation is not based on actual science. So a lot of even the documentaries, like even on Netflix, they will talk about meditation, a different meditation type. Take mindfulness, for example. and they will reference the studies that were done on TM. So that part is quite crazy. Yani it's they've taken something and they really like commercialized it so much. So the studies that were done on TM, they actually got together a few times, groups of people, and I think in one time it was around 8,000 people. This year, over New Year's, we got 10,000 people meditating together at the same time. And it was done also once before, I think around 5,000 or 6,000 people. So the results showed that the atmosphere around the meditators transforms. There are less car accidents. There are less hospitalizations, like within a huge radius. يعني المدينة اللي بيكون عاملين فيها الايفنت بخف فيها الهوسبيتاليزيشنز، بخف فيها المشاكل، كل الريتس اللي هن accidents وهالأمور كلها هاي they show significant decrease during the time that people are meditating.
Oh wow. يعني رواق يعني basically كله.
يعني basically نحن we vibrate.
Yeah.
And when you vibrate good things happen.
طب I was actually speaking of this, I'm going to ask you two things. Have you ever heard of the rice experiment?
Yes.
Is it true? Well, it's bull crap.
I never looked into it, but it doesn't. For me, it fits my paradigm.
والله يعني هلا مثلا أنا إذا مسكت رز every day وقلت له I hate you rice, I hate rice, هيعفن و I love you rice is gonna survive? Because that was the whole point of the experiment.
Yes.
And actually, some people claim it worked with their YouTube videos وما بعرف شو. I actually never tried it.
And they've done it with plants as well.
Yes, plants 100%. Yeah. Hatta they measured the frequency of the energy, and they saw that when you talk badly to a plant, how like the frequency goes up like crazy. Yeah. It just messes up with the whole يعني organism. يعني it messes up with the structure of the plant itself.
100%. I'll tell you something. You can interpret this using quantum physics. Yeah.
Really? How?
So basically, quantum physics is the study of the deeper layers in creation, right? So, yes. So you have normal physics where they study, and chemistry where they study particles and objects, right?
Yeah.
And then at the deepest level, you will get to atoms and neutrons and whatever. But then quantum physics is the study of even deeper levels, the space in between. And when you get to quantum physics, which is like a huge field in of itself, you are now you're looking at wave function. You're not looking at particles anymore because ببطل في particles. Right? So fundamentally, according to quantum physics, everything in creation is made of waves, and so that means that we are all literally all the time vibrating. So when you are speaking negativity, you are creating negative vibrations that have a negative influence, like a destructive influence. It's kind of like how, I help, make this simple, but maybe it wasn't very clear, but that's the idea.
No, but it is very clear.
It works because on a deep level, we are made of waves. So even though you're not reaching to the plant, you're not breaking it. Yeah. You're sending a vibration.
It's making absolute perfect sense. بس بتعرفي شو قاعد بربطها بsomething إنه maybe that's like the wisdom behind why Muslims are asked to pray 5 times a day to reset the vibrations around them. لأنه I was watching a documentary or a study إنه to your point إنه men and women. It's mind, body, and spirit. Body is what you do. It you want to eat junk food, you're gonna have a fat body, and vice versa. Mind is your thoughts and whatever you're thinking. But spirit is only 100% controlled and, let's say, manipulated by the energies that you harness, bad and good. طيب, and I always feel this is when you pray. You feel like you reset everything, like you kind of grounded. حتى مثلا ما يكون في مشكلة وكذا, you go pray, you realize it's just a lot more toned down. I don't know. I thought maybe that's my own interpretation of it. But when you mentioned موضوع quantum physics, I was like, I couldn't help but relate it to that.
No, 100%. I agree with that. Ever since the issue with Palestine and the war on Palestine started, I picked up on prayer. To be honest with you, I was not praying before that. It was the only thing missing, you know. I was just, that's how we are a little bit as Lebanese people. We're relaxed Muslims. But
are Lebanese people watching this gonna agree with this statement?
a lot will, some will not. But like, you know, this is how we are. Like, you know, we have this variance in our viewpoints when it comes to practicing our religion. المهم إنه the stress that I experienced, you know, from the witnessing the pain in Palestine, nothing could soothe it for me except prayer. And of course, they were so inspiring.
That's such a big statement, صراحة.
Yeah, they were so inspiring as well, because you could see them and how much in reality religion was their strength, right? And they inspired millions of people, and they inspired hundreds to convert to Islam. And so, of course, for me, it was the time that I started going back to my prayer. And now I love it. I look forward to it, the whole thing. Like, بروح بتوضى, and I pray, and
so
and it's
cute.
just, and it's what you're repeating. You're rewiring your brain. You're bringing it down to calmer levels. We're doing so many things. It's with prayer.
Hatta even praying, the fact that you pray barefoot, apparently because of you praying barefoot, it automatically grounds you with your
grounding, exactly, which is amazing for anxiety, by the way.
So that's why, that's the whole purpose of doing it أصلا barefoot. I mean, if you can, but no, that's good. Well, I actually يعني رب ضارة النافعة, إنه how something bad like this sort of was for you was a wake-up call, at least, يعني.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's good. Type, going back to the therapy and the things that you do with people, okay, let me ask it in this way. If you had to put it out of 10, how much do you think social media has an effect on people and their anxiety, since anxiety is like the biggest issue? If you had to like rate how bad social media can be for this out of 10.
It's just a really like a source of a very negative influence. So the thing is, if you are going to consume social media, you have to root yourself deeper. يعني for me, I'm not a fan of cutting things out from my life. I am more a fan of strengthening my core. Right? So if you strengthen yourself.
I get it.
And fundamentally, the most important thing to strengthen is your consciousness, your self-awareness. Because this is going to give you the awareness to, okay, I know I've used enough today, or now I want to do other things. This is strengthening your self-awareness is what's going to tell you, okay, you know, I actually have a lot of things on my schedule, right? So I design a routine for myself that prevents me from being dragged on into doom scrolling and things like that. So to purely answer your question, social media has a lot of negative influence, but I don't want to scare people off with that viewpoint. Instead, what I want to say, everything in life can have a negative influence. We need to counteract that with a lot of self-awareness.
100% صراحة, I agree, and that's such a beautiful way of putting it. لأنه I always say this, anything in excess is poisonous, whatever it is. Inshallah, if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, anything, too much of anything is bad. And too much of something good is also bad. So I fully agree with you. You should not cut things out like that, because kaman, depriving yourself of specific things can have a lot of negative comebacks. And I agree with you. But then social media can also be very useful if you use it the right way. I mean, that's how we met. I mean, if you think about it, that's exactly, I would have, I don't know, what are the chances of us crossing paths, unless you decide to do some interior design for something, and then maybe potentially 1 in a million chance. No, but all jokes aside, I fully agree with you. I don't like it when people just completely, even if you look at it, even for example, on something as simple as diet, إنه لا إنه طول بالك شوي، امسك عصاي من النص. That's how I
Yeah.
you know يعني مرة واحد طلع هيك ميزان قدامي وبلش عم بيقيس الأكل. قلت له شو رأيك يعني بلش كمان تروح هلا انت تفوت جوا على المطبخ يعني تقعد تطبخ معه للزلمه انه ريلاكس يعني مش لهالدرجه يعني انه روق شوي يعني you have to like
shouldn't be fanatic about things.
Yeah, exactly. طيب, now when it comes to marriage and divorce, do you get a lot of those? And
yes.
like, let's say, because you do a lot of couple therapy, but do you get a lot of those issues after or pre or both? Like after the divorce happened or when they're planning on getting a divorce, or is it equal?
Yeah, so going back to what we were saying earlier about the rise in awareness and how people change after COVID, I'm really glad to say that people are coming in at a better time now. So they're coming in when they're thinking about divorce, they're coming in when they're planning for the divorce and they want advice on how to tell the kids. Yani, people have become very much more aware about the need to contain things and to process them and to get advice and things like that with big decisions in their lives. So I'm happy to say that I'm seeing much more of that now. Yeah.
But do you like, and I don't know if you can kind of like put a number on it, but do you feel like you could, a lot of those cases can be saved if both of them are willing to work?
Yeah, they can. I've worked personally with a number of cases where we were able to, prevent the divorce from happening. I'm not saying that this is always the best scenario. Like, I'm not saying that divorce is a bad thing. It depends on the circumstances and all the factors.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In certain cases, it's a good thing. Like if one of the spouses is a narcissist, for example, that's not going to be abusive. Good, even when you have the kids, because the kids watching all the suffering growing up is going to harm them much more than coming from a divorced family.
And what do you think of women that tell you, "Oh, I stayed in this relationship for the kids, and that's why I had to put up with him," or because I'm sure you probably completely disagree with that.
No, I don't. Look, I mean,
if they say was someone abusive, yani.
It's a tough question. Factors. It's a tough question. It's a really tough question and a serious one. And I'll tell you something. I mean, sometimes because of social media and the world that we live in, you might draw these perfect images. But, we say abusive. But like in our culture, what do you define as abusive?
Yeah.
Because, sometimes your own parents used to hit you.
Yeah.
So are you defining that as abusive?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we cannot say, and also whoever it is that you're married to, they're not going to be a perfect person. So this is why I say it's very important to come to a therapist that is from your own culture. Because go to a Westerner and tell her, my husband, I don't know, shoved me or like whatever, was yelling at me. Like, oh, domestic abuse. You have to divorce and break up the entire family. He's a monster.
عادي احنا متعودين عليها يعني إذا وقفت على هاي يعني الله يجعل أكبر الهموم.
It's not that we want to keep these things. We don't want to keep them, but we can understand, where they come from.
No, it's true. But, okay, what are the top 3 reasons that you get for people wanting a divorce? Specifically, let's say our people, our culture, let's say جماعتنا يعني.
That's a good question. I don't think anyone's asked me that before.
Good.
I have to think about it for a minute.
Take your time. It's not we're not live, so we can always cut out whatever we want.
Yeah, that's a good advantage. Who's asking for the divorce in this case?
Okay, let's talk about both men and women.
Yeah, cheating is a major one.
Yeah, it's up there for sure.
Yeah, and something that's useful for people to know. More women are asking for divorce now, and it's really taking men by a complete shock. Like it's for them, it's coming out of nowhere.
What?
Because in our culture, men still have the programming, and no, if I'm providing for the family, I'm providing for my wife, financially, basically. And I'm basically a man that goes to work and comes back home, and I'm not doing anything crazy, like I'm not cheating or anything, that, the relationship is fine. But women are now asking for divorce due to emotional neglect. And being completely dissatisfied psychologically in the relationship.
Wallah.
So this is taking men by surprise.
Okay. So that's like that's something very common that you see. With your and what would be the third, if there isn't, Hadi, it's fine.
No, I'm not sure if there's something كتير common that's
but those two are the most common.
They're common enough, and they're interesting enough to talk about, as in people can take away a message from them.
But what would your advice be? At the first one, خلاص cheating is cheating. There's really not much you can discuss about that. I personally believe it's very hard. Do you think people can actually reconcile after cheating? They can?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would find it very, very... maybe I'm speaking of personal opinion, but I feel it would be so hard to bring that...
let's go into this. I mean, I totally think that a lot of people hold your viewpoint, especially men.
Yeah. Because by the way, it's very... just a side note, I don't know if you've heard this before, but for us, it's very humiliating. If a man gets cheated on, كتير مهينة للرجال. And that's why sometimes you'll notice that they'll tell you, but they won't tell their friends. They're like, we're getting a divorce. لأنه بيستحي إنه كيف إنه أنت
No, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for many considerations. Yeah.
For many, exactly. So they, it's very humiliating for a guy.
Yeah.
But sorry.
It's definitely a very tough one to overcome for a man when it happens when the woman cheats. So 100%. But I think it's useful because to me, cheating is not the death of the relationship. It's the so if we're talking about the women cheating, that's the point where they got to that point after a really almost very مش almost dead relationship, but a very dysfunctional relationship. And don't forget, you're dealing with women who are living in 2024. Many of them are working. Many of them are, globalized. They're on media and exposed. All of this. So there are requirements today of being married. Like, it's not enough to just provide financially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A man needs to be able to contain his wife, to demonstrate that he cares. In providing, but also in doing these other things that are really important.
Wow, that's good to know, to see, and I'm sure you've had cases where they were able to mend their differences and work on it. That's good. And do you feel like it's easier for men or women to sort of get over the cheating? Who do you think has it better?
Yeah, there are definitely individual differences when it comes to this. You'll have some people that are much more able to overcome this on either gender, on either side. Yeah. But I think, it's difficult for both and in different ways.
Yeah.
In different ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so what would you say? Let's say the divorce or the breakup does happen. Do people come to you, after to deal with the trauma of it and to deal with... And usually what's the most common issue that you get after the breakup or the divorce, especially if it's like a nasty one? Like, do they come masalan with self-esteem issues or trust issues, or is it a combination of many things?
Yeah, those are main issues people come with. But much more than that. What happens when the divorce takes place is that the scaffolding that was holding up your personality, like the pillars of your psyche, are shaken. So there's a lot of recalibration and revisiting everything in life. People I explain it in the sense of people go into like a bit of a desert because they've gone into the unknown.
Yeah.
Not when it's a bad relationship, they've been seeing it coming for years. No. But like when it's like a bit of a sudden divorce, or the problems took place over a couple of years and then the divorce happened. If you have like a situation where, she's been planning to divorce him for 15 years, you won't have that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if it's a young couple وصار في مشاكل, they moved here for example وبلش يصير عندهم مشاكل وهيك, and they divorced, then more often than not they'll go into a phase where they're revisiting everything in their life.
Yeah.
And that's another reason for anxiety. يعني oftentimes people think anxiety له علاقة بأشياء كتير هيك straightforward يعني. But oftentimes anxiety is إنه أنت فجأة فتت بمرحلة بحياتك منك عارف شي بقى. لأنه إذا مثلا your own partner اللي أنت كنت راسم حياتك معه بالمستقبل for life, they're no longer there, or they betrayed you in some way. So there's like a lot of very deep the ramifications.
So if you had to like give an advice for couples to sort of shield their relationship from these things, وخاصة نحنا كعرب, unfortunately, we were talking about this earlier, and no, we keep moving from one place to another, so we're always immigrants, and even when we have dual citizenship, we don't feel like we belong, and especially like if it's a Western world. So that being said, obviously you can only imagine how much it takes a toll on the wife, on the kids, that they have to go from one place to another. The kids are leaving the schools, the wife is out of her comfort zone, she has to go to a new place, make new friends. It's always harder for the kids and the women, correct me if I'm wrong, to move, to pack up and leave than it is for a man. And I feel like if that relationship is not solid, it can easily be like shaken and broken. So I don't know, what would your advice be if a couple really had to like build a very, very strong relationship with each other so that they can get over these things?
Yeah, tough times and moving and uprooting and going to another country definitely counts as a tough time. Will definitely test your relationship, right? So it's like a virus will test your immunity system.
Yeah.
So for me, having immunity as a couple means having foundational trust, nurturing that trust on a frequent basis, having a good ability to resolve conflict in a healthy way, because conflict will always be there. Couples will always fight about small things and big things, and that's absolutely natural and part of life. The only thing is we want to fight fair and we want to be able to resolve.
Yeah.
You see? So there are a few skills that are very important for couples to have in order for them to have good immunity. And to be able to navigate any difficult situation life throws. And
that's good. Yeah. I mean, was it a quote that I read once? No, to your point, they always fight, and the marriage is a 50-year conversation. يعني بدك تطول بالك يعني. بدك تطول بالك كتير. يعني كمان هيك 50. Yeah.
Who's it by?
I forgot. But no, yeah, it is a 50-year conversation, so you better have a lot of patience because it's just not gonna end anytime soon. But speaking of families, Ukaza, what would you say is the best way to sort of also create a healthy environment for kids? I know that you're a big proponent of not being on social media or having any kind of like exposure, but what other things can parents really do to especially nowadays, if you had to like say it in a brief way, to really bring up like good solid kids that are like reliable and smart?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that having some polarity in their relationship is important, in the sense that, for the father, for him to be taking on a more of a masculine role in the family dynamics, where he would carry most of the responsibility for providing. Okay. I know it's a bit controversial what I'm saying, but I think that essentially, after all my years of experience, I do believe this is the shortcut. Yeah. So no wonder our culture had that from the get-go. Day one. Because the male physiology is much more able and even thrives under challenge, in the sense that when males or men experience cortisol levels, they do thrive under that. Whereas when women experience high cortisol levels, their oxytocin plummets. So they have no energy to give back to their family. And their health is impacted, and the kids are greatly impacted, right? Because it's the female physiology. And here, this is again the polarity where the brain of the mother is the one that's wired to pick up on those subtle cues and the ability to connect more profoundly with the kids.
Yeah.
And so she, so I want to see, in an ideal scenario, completely ideal scenario, I want to see more of the polarized relationship where the man is taking on those predominant responsibilities and going back to a more traditional family setting where the woman and the mother has more energy and time to spend with the kids in order to nurture them. Because having the kids being brought up by the nanny is a sure recipe to have nothing in common with your kids as they get older. You don't notice them now. The attachment that forms from 0 to 3 years old. So for example, like especially at that age, but also the ages afterwards, yani. But from 0 to 3, there should not be a third person involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That bonding and attachment should happen between the mother and the child and the father and the child.
And عن جد إنه it's the things like this start from that young age?
Yeah, attachment is actually formed at that age.
Wow.
The level at which you can connect with another person and stay connected comfortably. Because have you heard of attachment styles?
Yes, I did actually.
Oh,
yes.
really?
Yeah, I did, but I'm trying to remember what they are.
Okay.
But yes, I did. Yeah.
It's your ability, how much you can connect with another person and bond.
Yeah.
And it shapes your perception about relationships, and it has a huge impact on your relationships in general. All of that is formed before you're 3 years old.
Wow. And can people change that if they're aware of it?
With a lot of work, they can. But with
Okay.
a lot of work.
والله شكله مر عليك كتير انت شكله كتير مر عليك. That's why you said it with a passion, with a lot of work, and you repeated that twice. No, but it's good that you can, at least if you're aware of it and you can undo something, why not? Because unfortunately some parents are just not aware of how important these years are.
100%.
Yeah, even me, and I know kids from 0 to 7, that's like the most crucial age. So I didn't realize, the attachment is built from 0 to 3. So that's interesting.
Because it's a part of the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that part of the brain develops. Of course, it continues to develop, يعني. بس إنه بيصير فيه هيك مثل a big mark on that in that time frame.
Okay, that's good to know. But jumping into entrepreneurship, anxiety, and burnouts, because I know that's your new let's say focus.
Yeah.
Yani, how would you define burnout if you had to put it in a few words? And how you're seeing it now from in today's perspective.
Yeah. So بحكم انه نحن we live in Dubai, and بحكم انه the kinds of clients that come to me, I get a lot of high performers. Okay. I get a lot of executives, and I get a lot of founders. So recently what I did is this is very recent, I launched an initiative for founder mental health.
Nice.
And this is, as far as I can tell, no one has done that. So this is the first time we have something like this in the UAE.
Nice.
And it's very necessary because I think this is something that you know much more about than me. The culture of startups and founders and entrepreneurship is skyrocketing here.
Yes.
And we are attracting also globally a lot of founders and startups as well. So basically what I've noticed is there are things that can be very prevented, such as burnout. So, you have someone who starts off the journey believing in themselves, believing in their business idea, raising funds for it and everything, and then coming in a literal panic because they don't care anymore. They're like everything is a drain for them. They're getting tired. They're not inspired. They're dragging their feet. They don't know what to tell their investors. And this is something that can be prevented.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously all that passion, if it's one way, channeled in one way, they're going to burn themselves out, you know.
Which happens most of the time because
yeah, exactly.
Because they get so obsessive over what they want. But how do you draw the balance then?
They don't see it coming, especially if it's their first startup, right? They don't see it coming. They don't think it's going to happen.
هي بتجيهم هيك مثل كف one day هيك وخلص he just I feel like I think that's what I noticed. Some of them, they just all of a sudden they just feel like they lost motivation and they just shut down. I don't know. يعني طب how do you draw the balance then, in your opinion? Like if you had to, like, without getting into too much, because I know it's a very like wide topic, but how do you draw, like, you have investors that are asking for results, and you have peer pressure from people that you told you're going to do this, and you have maybe someone, a loved one or mother or father that you're trying to make proud, and you have all of this on top of your head, and you're asked to perform and deliver at a specific time.
And your self-confidence is at stake for a lot of people. They totally associate with their
what
projects,
do you do,
success or failure.
If we, I don't know, like, I'm just trying to think out loud with you, you know, how you would approach it, and I'm sure you have all the answers, but just thinking, Yani.
You're so kind. I do not have all the answers.
Okay. Not yet. Not yet. Disclaimer, not yet, but you will have.
You know, I always feel like, you know, the amount of things that we went through as Lebanese and also me in my life, you know, it gives you a lot of wisdom. You know, wisdom is basically just all the stuff that you went through.
مرة عليك كتير.
But that's good. So basically, I can't give you like a cookie cutter answer because it's going to depend on each person, right? So it's going to depend on a lot of things. There are commonalities in the types of personality that would take on, you know, like an entrepreneurship as a journey and would choose that over the stability and you know, the safety of like being in the corporate world. There are some commonalities and some things we can generalize about, but I don't feel like that would be very helpful. I think essentially the number one thing that needs to be understood is that when it comes to your mental health, it should be a business expense. Like, why would you, for example, put like expensive fuel in your car, in your like sports car, and update your phone's software consistently and your computer software, but refuse to update this? You know what I mean? So we need the right fuel. We need to update our software consistently. When you look at like high performers like Olympians and high level executives for that matter, they always have a therapist, right? Because when you're dealing at high level of performance and you're expected to perform at high levels, you have to fuel yourself, fuel your life, fuel your spirit, manage your stress, do all these things. More than the average, you know, more أكتر من ما إنه إذا كنت أنت you're just doing a regular easy peasy job.
I actually have a rule. I call it the 24-hour rule. I don't know if you I don't know إذا مرت, I don't know if it's a thing أصلا, but I'll do. Is that when you have a piece of bad news that you just got, sleep on it for 24 hours. Because I promise you that the way you feel about it after 24 hours is no way near the way that you feel about it when you just receive it. يعني I remember لما we used to work the family business with my dad, دائما بيجيكي رسائل سم بدن خلص يعني بيكون يعني ودائما رسائل سم بدن بتجي on the Thursday afternoon right before the weekend. يعني فهمتي كيف؟ شان كتير إنه هيك إنه انبسط يعني. I personally don't open the email, and I personally, even if I read it, I was like, okay, and I leave it. I don't emotionally respond to it. I don't call the person that sent it. I don't engage. Because I don't engage in with it. Exactly, because I realize that something خلاص when you let it. I don't know why, but I noticed much later that the problems sometimes are a lot bigger in our head than it is in reality. So that's why the 24.
You find that when you come back to it on Monday, or when you choose to come back to it, you can just like tuck, get it done.
1,000%. 1,000. At least if not tuck, like I would say like 50% tuck. You know, like it would be like a lot less.
Much more manageable.
Much more manageable. I would be a lot less emotionally attached to the issue. فهمتي كيف? Because for us, especially with men, it's a lot of the time is managing egos, you know, like especially with work, or especially in my field, at least, like in construction and real estate, it's a lot of ego play. فهمتي كيف?
Yeah.
We have to manage this. So that's how I feel. I don't know. Maybe you could agree, or I don't know, but that's how I feel. مشاكل دائما could be bigger than our head than it really is. طيب, what about...
It's interesting. I mean, I haven't heard of that specific 24-hour rule before, but it tells me a lot about you.
Yeah. رايق أنا كتير ما بحب حدا يعكر لي مزاجي أروح. I'd be a good partner in India. كتير هيك بكون chill يعني. But speaking of and going back to couples, and I wanted to actually ask about something that I feel like could be on the rise, is like jealousy issues.
Yeah.
Because of exposure on social media. Whether it's from the man or from the woman. Do you think like that's a problem that's also on the rise? Because هي بتغار منه ولا هو بغار منها because of specific things that are being put out there. And like you said, and you talked about this a lot, the oversharing.
Okay. So like إنه هي حطت صورة like revealing
could be revealing, it could be not revealing, but it's getting the unnecessary attention. And vice versa.
Okay. Interesting.
What's your take on this? Do you feel like it's something that they should learn how to deal with it, or just avoid it altogether and don't overshare it, because that's just the root of all problems?
Interesting.
I like asking you all the tough questions.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's good. I'm enjoying. You know, I mean, for me, it's again tough to kind of generalize, because you have all types of couples, right? So because of my position being a psychologist, I don't want to say things that make people feel bad about who they are and what are their preferences, right?
Okay.
So there is no right or wrong in that sense. You have different people, they have different preferences. Not everyone's gonna like roses, for example, you know what I mean? Some people like roses, some people like other things, some people. So preferences are there. However, what I can say is that why would your partner getting attention make you jealous? Whose team are you on anyway? Like, because if you are on the same team, you're happy for your partner to get attention. If, however, your partner is getting like sexual attention,
مثلا,
like by kind of giving out signals, because we do give out signals. We give out signals that are like kind of like attraction signals. It's not like me coming on here, you know, I'm talking about work and like, so there are different ways in which, you know, I can communicate differently in different situations, right? Yeah. So if your partner is married to you, but retains that flirtatious attitude and is getting this kind of sexual attention, then yeah, of course, that's something that should irritate you in a healthy relationship.
Exactly.
You know,
in an
but
ideal...
your partner getting attention in general should not, you know, let's say if it's her career or if she's doing an initiative or something good for society.
Because you should be happy for her.
Because you should be on the same team, and you should be solid in your relationship together, where you have that trust.
I don't understand, why don't people come, like if they're gonna get married, do you actually get this? I was always curious. Do you actually get this, like people coming to you before they get married as pre-marriage counseling to go over, make sure that we're all on the right, we're on the same page with this and that? Do you actually get this?
Yeah.
You do?
I do.
No way.
Oh, I swear.
Wallah, it was a long shot. I didn't even realize that you actually. طيب, and that's good. So what do you tell them? Listen, this is what she wants. Listen, this is what he wants, and you shake hands and khalas, you seal the deal.
No. It's always like, obviously they come in with a lot of anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a big decision for them. And so I navigate very gently in my sessions.
Yeah.
In my real life, I'm like, just. But in my sessions, I navigate very gently, especially with important, key moments in the client's life and the patient. So it's a conversation, and I would never tell them, oh, you guys really are bad in like conflict resolution, so I don't recommend this marriage. Like
no, well, you don't give it to them.
Suggesting that or highlighting it. No.
طب how would you like مرئي لهم الخبر
very diplomatically.
Okay.
Very diplomatically.
بس يعني you do okay, so you say it, but in a very subtle way.
I deliver the message very subtle in a way at a time where I feel like now they can absorb it. And when I have empowered them with the right tools, right? Because أنا همي أكبر هم عندي is not to do harm as Obviously. A psychologist.
Yes.
Right? That's one of the most important things in our profession. So navigating very gently that situation.
طب بيسمعوا كلامك? Do they listen to you?
I haven't had that many cases, to be honest.
Okay.
Some of them, they come in and it's just a couple of sessions and then they go.
But that's good. And honestly, it's nice to hear that you are getting couples that are willing to just put themselves out there even before.
Yeah.
Because that's very mature, because then they realize, okay, maybe they will need to do some work. فهمتي كيف?
Yeah.
But that's good. But do you feel also like people in Dubai tie their self-worth also to what they achieve or what they do, like, because it's a very competitive city, right? And once you described it in a very nice way, like it's you're on a racetrack. Everybody else is just going at a 200 miles an hour, and you're just like you either have to go at their speed or you're left behind. Do you feel like that could also affect people and their self-worth and how they view themselves? No, everybody else is moving at a much faster pace than them.
Yes, definitely. Even one group, by the way, that I see a lot that this impacts are mothers at home. So here, women are ashamed to say that I'm a mother at home. Can you believe it?
Wallah.
I swear. Because they see so much ambition, so many women accomplishing so many things, and because I asked them, what do you do, like in the beginning of the session, and now I ask it in a very different way, and I just weave it in the conversation because I noticed so many times that women are feeling like a lack of self-worth when they don't work, for example.
Wow. So now it's the opposite. It used to be the ultimate prize when you don't have to worry.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's Dubai is a very kind of ambition-fueled city, and of course self-worth and self-confidence is impacted because we are social creatures, right? So we're always comparing ourselves to other people, like subconsciously, always. It's not a bad thing. We just have to have enough to be rooted in ourselves, in our identity, to have self-awareness, so that these natural things that happen don't completely dysregulate you. Because it's good when you feel jealous, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not bad if you're in a room and you find people and you find yourself kind of like jealous of him, or you dislike him, you don't know what, you're probably jealous of him. That's a good thing, because that tells you that you have more potential and there are things that you still are wanting to.
That's good. That's a very good way of putting it. And you spoke about attachment styles, but what about love languages? Do you actually talk about them to like couples? Wallah?
Yes, of course.
You actually, so you do agree that there are how many? 5?
Yeah.
There are 5. What are they? And physical touch, gift, words of affirmation. حافظ درسي أنا. It's good.
Wow, well done.
Quality time. صراحة I forgot. It's good enough. I got 4 out of 5.
How did you acts of service?
Acts of service. Yeah.
How did you learn about them?
I read there's the book. What's it called? Oh, the
5 languages of love. But what took you there?
I read a lot.
A failed relationship.
I mean, partially yes, obviously. because I was very curious to see إنه صار عندي self-esteem issues. I'm not gonna lie to you. إنه ليش البقايا كلهم are happy و I'm not.
Okay.
What is it? بلش بقى that spiral يلعب براسي. So, and I realized that a lot of the answers that I need in life are in books. Like you just have to read. And that particular book, that author is a very good author.
Yeah. It's a very good book, to be honest. So it's concise to the
exactly.
point. And it's a very simple and elegant theory, which I agree with absolutely.
يعني أنا ما بحب these books اللي فيها كتير فزلكة وكتير فلسفة. Like you said, it's just too much. You want something that's like just خلاص straight to the point. Yeah. Actually, one of my favorite authors, you probably know him, Dr. John Gottman.
Yeah. Oh, really? You like him?
Yeah.
How come?
Because his books are, يعني, I don't know, like he's just on point. Like what he talks about is right. I'm not entirely, like the 5 languages wasn't written by him. It was, what's the name? I forgot the author. He wrote another book.
He's a priest اللي كتب ال 5 languages.
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
But John Gottman also wrote a very, the 7 reasons why marriages fail or something like that.
He did the biggest study on marriages and divorces and found that, do you remember what was the quality that led to divorce? The behavior.
شو بيسموها emotional flooding.
Emotional flooding plays a role, بس أكثر شيء اللي بيوصل للdivorce الcontempt.
Contempt, yeah. There were a lot of, like, there were a number of things, but yeah, maybe you're right. The contempt was probably one of the best ones. But Sana, what actually really intrigued me about him is that he claims within 10 minutes من القعدة between couples on any disagreement, and first there has to be a disagreement, he observes them, and within 10 minutes he can predict up to 92% accuracy if they're gonna divorce or not. هلا ما بعرف إذا هو يعني
بلا ما عم لك هي من وراء الكونتمبت، لأنه لما بيشوف الكونتمبت they code the behaviors.
اوكي من الحديث من الطريقة من
الأسلوب. يعني هلا مثلا when you have I'm always watching this in the clinic لما بيجي لعندي couple إنه هنا عم يحكوا مع بعض، إنه في couples بيقعدوا بصيروا بيحكوا معي، يعني ما بيحكوا مع بعضهم.
Completely
they don't connect with the other person. أو مثلا بيحكي البارتنر والتاني بيعمل هيك بعيونه.
واو.
عرفتها هيدي اللفوق.
Yeah. Oh my God, I hate that.
هاي اللفوق هيدي هي الكونتمبت، هي إنه أنت بمخك عم تفكر إنه شو عم يحكي هذا.
إنه شو الهبيلة هاي يعني.
Exactly. فهو لقى he can predict the divorce rate من وراء قديش they show behavior of contempt.
Wow. Okay. So I mean, I thought maybe he was exaggerating in his book just for marketing purposes, but يعني now that you confirmed it, yeah. I mean, it's imagine, تخيلي إنه أنت you're going to see someone and you're talking about your problems and someone is acting like this.
Yeah.
Imagine how small you would feel, whether you're a man or a woman. I don't know. But do you actually get this? Like, do you see a lot of contempt when you, wallah? And is it usually because of that person's character, or is it because of the result of a lot of unresolved issues, or could be both?
Sometimes, more often than not, it's because of men will have that behavior, and it's because of their egos. Because they have they have a lot of ego, and they haven't cultivated empathy with their partner. Yeah. So they're approaching their wife as another thing they have to fix. The fact إنه هن عندهم الرايتس وعندهم الصح والغلط، يعني عندهم بيعرفوا. The thing كل حدا vulnerable لشيء. So with males they can be vulnerable to be judgmental.
Yeah.
فهو contempt is springing from judgment. It's when the person feels إنه هن بيعرفوا الصح والغلط وال other person is wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
And yeah, I mean, contempt is حتى by the way a very beautiful thing that's written in the Quran, and I'm sure you probably remember this. بيقول لك وجعلنا بينكم مودة ورحمة.
Yes, I love that one.
So يعني doesn't even mention love as much as compassion and mercy.
Mercy.
Oh, kindness. No, that should be like something that everybody should just always remember.
Totally. You know, I'll tell you a scoop. I just discovered in Cambridge, they have a Cambridge Muslim Center. بجامعة Cambridge بلندن. بالUK, sorry. I discovered they have a diploma for Islamic psychology.
No way.
I swear.
والله شكلك انت you're gonna be the next student. والله شكلك عم بتمهدي للطريق. قلت لي محمد one day I did it.
لا I'm so interested. يعني أول شيء أنا كتير interested صايرة بالموضوع. وتاني شيء إنه واو يعني إنه psychology and Islam مع بعض يعني perfect combination لإلي. I'm gonna apply إن شاء الله بآخر الشهر.
طب let me know if you get accepted.
إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله. No, but it is. I mean, if you يعني subhanallah, if you think about it, everything that happens in life sort of leads you back to the same, you know, the basic rules that were instilled. And I would say that we're lucky, maybe we're blessed that we're Muslim, but I would also argue that other religions are inherently good also.
Yeah.
And their message is good. And they are also programmed and designed to make you a better person, whether it's Christianity or Judaism or Buddhism or whatever you want. I don't think there's any of them that are like made to make you violent or like a bad person.
Yeah.
But maybe for us it fits more, and I would say it's more complete.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only thing that's bad is atheism.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's bad, because that just dropped human beings into a whole pit of like endless suffering. You know, they went on from worshipping a god to now worshipping idols and worshipping social media and celebrity, because worshipping is part of our human psychology as a trait.
Is it?
Yes.
Well,
it is. Yeah. So when you take out God from the equation, people turn then to idealizing.
طيب, what would you say is your best form of meditation? Sarah wants to meditate وتروق. What would you do?
To meditate, it's like I do my TM, my transcendental meditation. But to calm down, هيك روق. Nature.
Tell us a little bit about your India trip.
So the India trip is part of a routine that I have, which is مرة أو مرتين بالسنة بروح بعمل detox.
Yeah.
وهذا الديتوكس هو شيء موجود بالأيurveda الطب البديل تبع الهند. الأيurveda بيقول لك إنه بالمواسم بيتراكم أشياء، وهالأشياء لما بتتراكم بالجسم بتكون breeding ground لإلنسز. يعني بالصيفية بيتراكم الهيت بالجسم، وإذا أنت you don't detox this بآخر الصيفية بيصير الواحد عرضة ليصير عنده acidity، مشاكل أخرى مثل حتى الأكني is dysregulated because of heat. مشاكل بالبلاد وكذا وهيك. فباسically the concept هي إنه كل فترة وفترة you have to go and flush out كل التوكسينز والترسبات لحتى to maintain your health. And this is the preventative approach. So I do that as often as I can, and I love it, obviously, because it's like massages and you're just having a great time.
Come back as a newborn baby, huh? No, but it's good. I mean, I always wanted to do this, and someone actually told me about it. But is it in a specific place in India?
Yes. You don't just go anywhere, because some Ayurvedic practices are completely هيك شو بقولوا يعني bad إنه أو إذا بدك ما عادت knowledge pure. they dysregulate the body. هنا عم يعملوا له detox. فأنا بروح على Maharshi Ayurvedic facilities. Where they're extra gentle and they use like organic herbs and like proper method يعني.
And is it like, do you feel like the impact is the same on men and women, or is it just
yeah, it's amazing on men and women.
Wallah. Because I just wonder like how guys deal with it, because guys with these things are just a lot more difficult, let's say. I tried on this يعني side note, and I tried مرة شو اسمه hot yoga. منظري مش منظر يعني. I was looking at myself in the mirror. I was the only guy in a room full of girls. It was me and my best friend وأخذني Montreal على one of those hot yoga studios. فضيحة.
Sweating from
فضيحة.
everywhere.
قلت له يلا عن أخت الساعة اللي جتني أنت لهون أنت وهالexercises زبالة. إنه why am I even doing this? وإنه هذا it's supposed to be therapeutic وما بعرف شو. Like بلا therapeutic بلا بطيخ. I want to leave بعدين خلص like you just really like.
It's very tough, yeah. Like he took you to a very advanced thing, like right off the bat. He should ease you into this kind of thing.
Yeah, but
no, they love it. They love it. لأنه it's very calming.
Yeah.
كتير بتحس بالفرق. بعدين نحن على الريتريت بنعمل كذا شغله يعني بيكونوا عم يعملوا detox بالنهار بعدين we have conversations we have discussions we have nature walks we have a lot of nice programs.
That's good. I saw your videos وانت قاعد تمشي. I saw a lot of cows طبعا in the street.
Oh yeah, I love the cows.
Really?
Every time بجي من هنا بقول ما بدي اكل لحمه. لانه
technically speaking هون we eat mainly lamb. We don't eat
really?
يعني mainly yeah.
مين mainly بياكل؟ I don't eat lamb ابدا.
والله؟
وين لما بتروح على المطاعم وين في لام؟ الشاورما من شو بيعملوا؟
شاورما لام حبيبتي.
عن جد؟
Yes.
عن جد؟ I had no idea.
Now you know. You learned something new. Yes, of course.
بس steak is cow.
Steak is cow. ايه اكيد يعني منه من
Okay.
انه steak is cow بس انه everything else here is lamb. Shawarma is lamb.
عن جد؟ وحيد الله ما كنت عارفة.
الله سارة. At least you left here learning something new. أنا تعلمت منك everything and you got this one thing. Did you know that shawarma is actually made of lamb and not cow? طيب, I'm just gonna ask you a few fun questions.
Sure.
If you had to like pick someone from all of history who stands out as like an exceptional man or woman for their emotional ability or whatever it is, who would you say? Who would you pick? Because شكلك انت you read a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, we're not going to say be religious about it, and we're not going to pick, our Prophet ﷺ, because of course I would definitely pick him. But if we're not going to be religious, who would I pick? صراحة, I would pick. I'm a spiritual person, so أنا اهتماماتي دايما بيروحوا على الأشياء spiritual. Sorry, I'm a bit boring like that. But I would pick Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and he is the person who هو ناسك متنسك يعني he's a guru, he's a ناسك, وهو اللي جاب ال transcendental meditation على to the world يعني.
Okay.
I would pick him لأنه
Does he have any books written?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Many hundreds of books, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I should probably start reading about him.
He's quite amazing. I would read the Bhagavad Gita as a first book for him.
Wait, let me write that. What is it called?
It's the Bhagavad Gita. Gita.
Bhagavad Gita, okay.
By Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And it's amazing. Literally, because it describes your life journey and what attitude you need to have within you so that you can navigate life with confidence and bliss and empowered and all of that.
Well, nice. I'm going to go on research a lot after this today. What's the funniest or craziest thing you actually come across? Yani, without naming names, obviously. But is if you had a story that really was just funny or crazy? أكيد عندك كتير and I'm dying to know some of them.
Oh my God. No, I don't think I can share some of the craziest things I've seen.
Are they that bad? عن جد سارة? They that bad? Damn, that smile. Give it away. لا بس إنه طب okay يعني it's not so bad to the point that you have to censor it? لا.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, yeah, of course.
Shit, you have to tell me off camera.
Sorry, I can't answer this question. Next.
Next. طيب, بس okay, who is the person that touched you the most, let's say? The person that عن جد يعني their story really left an impact on you. Someone that like عن جد when you look back you'll be like, you know what, I actually learned something from that person. It wasn't the other way around because they're usually learning from you.
Yeah, in the clinic.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, like I would say there were a few situations like this, obviously. Many.
You had a lot, though.
Yeah.
If you had to put it in a few words, what the most rewarding thing would be about your job? How would you describe it?
I love my job because
clearly
because it's made me evolve so quickly.
Yeah.
Dealing with people and in this context and in this setting. First of all, I love it because I'm using my skill set. Like, this is my talent.
Yeah.
Like, there are things that I perceive between the lines that sometimes, many times, the client doesn't even have to say it. Like, I know it already. And this makes people really comfortable. And so anyways, a lot of my talents, my innate talents, and the ones that I developed are perfect for this job. And this is why I love my job.
Nice.
And I love it the most because I'm able to alleviate suffering, which I'm really allergic to. Like, I hate suffering. And so if I'm able to help people, like, transform their life, make their relationships better, feel better themselves, walk away smiling, confident, it just gives me so much meaning.
And what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Oh, wow. Interesting. I would say, yeah, it's just going to keep on getting better. Like, I wasn't having a great time when I was a 20-year-old, by the way.
That's why I asked you.
Yeah.
Because I assumed that it was the time where you probably had the rough patch.
Yeah. It was, my whole childhood, like, was rough. I was born in Lebanon.
Life of a Middle Eastern.
Yes, exactly. So, you grow up in a community and a society that's traumatized for generations, and you have a lot of issues. But all of these things make me who I am today.
Yeah.
So I love it.
That's great. Sarah, that's a wrap. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was fun.